Good morning, YouTube. When this video airs, we will not be in our studio in Kansas. We'll be working our job.
Yes.
Working for the man. Working for Barrett-Jackson. He is the man, Craig Jackson, and his big collector car auction in Scottsdale, where they're selling over 1,000 cars. And it's about the most amazing docket we've ever seen.
What's so incredible is that all these cars go at no reserve, which means there's no limit to how low the car can go.
It could sell for $1. It could sell for $1 billion. You really don't, well, you have some idea because there's plenty of people in the room to where there won't be like something that should be selling for $1 million selling for $10,000. But still, there are some great deals, and then there's some record prices. You just never know, and that's why I love it. It's actually my 20th anniversary from the first time that I went in person when I was in high school. A wee lad with my dad. He took me out after watching the Speed Channel coverage back in the day, and I went out, and there's actually two of my dream cars selling there. Two 300 SL Gullwings. Yep.
Really?
Two of them.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And they sold pretty close together, and I looked it up just for reference. Back in the day, one sold for $394,000 with fees.
That's it?
And $367,000
Were they like jacked up?
No.
That's just the price?
They were both very nice examples of
Way back
Gullwings.
then.
They crossed the block, and I thought back then, if I work really hard, one day I can buy one of those.
Yeah.
But now there's actually one selling at Barrett-Jackson, and it's the knockoff wheel car, which is a bonus, in the neighborhood of $2 million probably. But it is my 20th anniversary, so I am very excited.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And you have been working for Barrett-Jackson for longer than I, so and you've been associated with Barrett-Jackson for around 10 years. How did they find you in the first place?
Yeah, well, I was working for Maxim Magazine, and we did a promotion, like a we did like a collaboration with Barrett-Jackson and Mario Andretti, actually, and we were at Laguna Seca, tying into Barrett-Jackson, but what the original promotion was, they're at Laguna Seca doing a modified Indy car, driving around where Mario Andretti was the driver, and you sat in the back, and going around Laguna Seca, feeling that corkscrew going down, and the centrifugal force. Just I couldn't even hold my neck. Like my neck wasn't strong enough to hold my head up. So as we're going around the turns, you'll just see my head going boop, boop, boop to each of the sides, and I'm just like, it was wild. So that was my introduction to Barrett-Jackson because we were shooting a promotion that circumferenced all of that, and they had me out at Barrett-Jackson to talk about the experience, and I obviously fell in love with the car auction world that way because I didn't know something like that kind of existed. I wasn't deep into the car world yet.
Right, and thankfully April wasn't there. We covered this in a How We Met video. She wasn't there when I started, when I was probably terrible, so she didn't see me for a year or so until I got somewhat proficient at it, which was good.
It's a thing because it's like you can know about cars, but then there's a learning curve about doing live TV, which is tricky and scary, and it gets your nerves up and it pumps your adrenaline up. And when your adrenaline's high, your short-term memory just goes out the window, and so you just have this learning curve of trying to be comfortable on live TV, which apparently you know everything about cars, so I don't see why you would have a problem.
No, it's still live TV, which on YouTube, and in this video, as Jake shows with the bloopers, if I mess up, we get to start over. We do a little cut, and there's a different camera angle, and yay! But that's not the case with live television. But we compiled a list, and there are a lot of amazing cars. Like the Don Williams collection, which was bidder #1 at Barrett-Jackson. He passed away last year. Great friend of Barrett-Jackson, bought a lot of amazing cars over the years, and he is selling, his estate is selling a few of them. Some old Bugattis, beautiful Packards, some crazy things. And of course, Sammy Hagar, his LaFerrari is going to be one of the big headliners of the show. But we were going to cover sort of the cars that we found the most interesting. I mentioned the 300 SL Gullwing, but April, I mean, see for yourself the pictures.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yep. So it's silver with a tan and sort of the green plaid interior and the luggage. Yep.
But see, like you're worried to drive. You would never drive it.
At that kind of money, I would be scared to, but I did get to drive the one in Italy, but it wasn't mine. But yeah, you can see the knockoff wheels there. But kind of fun, along with that, there is an SLR, like what I have, an SLR McLaren, but the coupe, and an SLS. So this is kind of fun to where I can see sort of a comp for my cars. And the SLS is sort of the real spiritual successor to the 300 SL. There have two SLSs selling and one SLR. So how about you? What's your first pick?
What I really get excited about is the first year of the Corvette. Because I just love watching throughout the decades and the different generations of everything that changes on the Corvette. And I just imagine all these designers and engineers in a boardroom talking about what we're going to do year to year with the Corvette. And this is where it started, 1953.
Right.
So cool.
Very humble beginnings with that blue flame, right?
So very humble.
Underpowered, I think like a 2-cylinder automatic in all of them. Not a sports car in the slightest, resembling any kind of sports car what we have today.
Yeah, they only made 300 of them. And it's interesting because they're all in polo white. And they did that on purpose because it was the first time they did sort of a masser, bigger production of cars. And it was a full fiberglass body, and they've never done that before. And so white kind of hides everything, where if you have a black car, any little dent or streak or speck of dirt just shows up right away. So all the first-year Corvettes are painted polo white for that reason. And it's just so cool. It's just such a piece of history. But, you know, people like the later years of that generation, but there's something really special and just really just true and pure about the start of the Corvette, where I think these should all be in museums. Like, there should be ropes, like red velvet ropes around this. This is like the holy grail of amazing American history.
Right. I've seen the very first one in the Corvette Museum after the sinkhole where all the Corvettes went.
Right.
But yeah, it is really cool to see them. They do occasionally come to Barrett-Jackson and sell, but it is pretty unusual. Maybe we see one a year, probably. I think on average, one.
They had one last year, and I remember thinking, because I'm thinking it should be on this huge display, like on a pedestal with like ropes around it. It was just kind of chilling at the end of an exhibit, and I'm like, this, like, don't touch it, like, leave it alone. But I love these. This is so cool. This is just like real American history right here.
And we have the last year, the 1962, the last year of the
this
C1.
generation,
And by then, you know, they have V8s, they have fuel injection, they have 4-speed manuals. They're actually thinking about making it a sports car by then, but then here's where it all started.
It's just so cool.
You know, I lean more towards exotics and moderns and things, as much as I appreciate this, but I do think it is very, very cool that Barrett-Jackson has such a great representation of Lamborghinis at the sale. So you have a Countach. An 88 5000, which is different than mine because I have the 25th anniversary with all the extra sort of cladding on it and such. This is sort of the last of the not crazy overstyled Countaches with that, you know, weird sort of phone dial looking wheels, and still the big wing. It's still absolutely crazy looking.
That's why I say you're like the not the over crazy, overstyled one, but like, yeah, it still is.
It doesn't have Horatio Pagani's body kit put on like my 89, so it should sell for quite a bit of money because it's in the perfect range of having the modern reliability, because it's the fuel-injected later car, not like the carburetor ones that are sort of annoying to keep running, but not the most common 25th anniversary. I love the 25th anniversary and the looks of all of it.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
But if I had to pick, it would be this one. And the market has sort of spoken on these too. We'll see what it sells for, but they do tend to sell for a lot of money. But not only that, they have... Oh, sorry.
Well, I was saying that one of the hottest things that I've seen you do is drive these in reverse, because the window in the back is so tiny that he opens the door and just kind of is standing, peeking out, trying to see where he's going so he doesn't run into anyone.
Well, it's not just not hot, it's necessary. Like, you have to. Like, you would hit something if you didn't get out and do the thing with the Lamborghini. But
if you're trying to impress a girl with a Lamborghini and it's not working, do that.
You don't have to do it in this Lambo, though, because it is a VT Roadster. So with that little carbon fiber piece off 97. So this is the next generation Lamborghini. And this was Donald Trump's. He bought this new, ordered it new. Only one with this color, I believe. And there's plenty of pictures of him. One famous one at the gas station, another one with his soon-to-be wife, yes. This is a much more refined car, but still very much old-school Lamborghini. And I love how they did the Roadsters with these, because it's one piece of carbon fiber that unclips from the top and then neatly clips into the engine, on top of the engine bonnet, basically. And it looks really good with the top on or top off. All-wheel drive, still a manual transmission, beautiful car.
Well, and he's not a little guy, right? I don't know how big he is. This sounds wrong for saying.
Trump is a big dude. He's over 6 foot tall, which presidents in general are tall. They tend to be more likely to get elected if they're tall. It's that DeSantis boot thing that we were talking about. But yeah, these cars, easier to drive, great experience, and the top is one thing that's much better than these. On the next generation, they have the Murcielago. So the Murcielago has a really crappy toupee system that clips on sort of like an early Dodge Viper. Really sort of an afterthought, where I felt like this was much more elegant. But with the top off, the Mercy Roadster is one of the most beautiful cars ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I mourn the loss of mine still. Like, I miss it. Those are sort of the last 3 generations of Lamborghini being their own sort of independent, like, I'm developing these cars without any outside influence, because after that they were bought by Volkswagen and heavy influence in there. And yeah, the Aventador is cool. The Revuelto, now a hybrid I haven't experienced yet. But these are the 3 generations of old school Lamborghini.
I'm hearing you talk, it reminds me of like when Carroll Shelby actually had his cars and it was all him. There was no outside influence to what he was doing to them, and all of a sudden Ford corporate kind of starts to take over, is what you're trying to say.
Right. So like a 65, 66
Right.
GT350 versus a 67, 69 GT500. Yeah, exactly. So what's next on your list?
Okay, so Dave Kindig, amazing car builder. Okay, he does spectacular, wild builds. Check this. Okay, 1953 Kindig CF1 Custom Roadster.
So we saw how the 53 is
all
natural, but this is Kindig's version, which I assume he didn't hack up one of 300.
No, he didn't hack up one of the 300 of the 53s, but it's just absolutely stunning. The color's called blue suede shoes. Inside is a stone white. Just kind of reimagined the 53 Corvette, but made it easy to drive. Made it sort of that resto mod feel. It still looks like a Corvette, but this is not your grandpa's Corvette, okay?
Well, they're able to do a different chassis to where the seat can sit much lower and it can actually fit someone that's over 6 foot tall, because the early Corvettes, fitment is definitely an issue.
Well, and I love how he has the stack coming out of the hood, just enough where you're not showing off. You're not, look how big I am. It's just a little touch.
Very clean, very tasteful, and I feel like these are very timeless. That's one thing that I like about his resto mods. Is everything sort of has a nod to the original design, even though it's been modernized. It still has enough of that tribute, that retro to it, to where I feel like even 20 years from now, they won't be like, oh, these wheels have fallen out of fashion. This look has fallen out, because it just captures the essence of the car so well.
It's very simple. The grill's very simplified. The wheel cutouts are massive, but just makes it come to life almost. The gated manual, it's so gorgeous. I love that build. It's going to be really fun to watch, because custom cars, you don't really know. There's not really a value on custom cars, because it's just, what do you like? You could like something completely different than I like, and so that'll be really neat to run. What also shocks me is sometimes we'll be reading about cars and it'll say, oh, this is a 5-year restoration. Dave Kindig built this in 9 months. A full car, completely, just pretty much from scratch, okay, in 9 months.
Right. Well, he's done several, but even having all that experience with him, the process of building the cars is just so intricate and so difficult that the time it takes, And when he brings it to Barrett-Jackson, he is rewarded every time for his work, so that's why he keeps coming back, obviously.
Yeah, stunning. Would you rather have the first year 53 or a Kindig, this Kindig 53?
A Kindig, for sure. Because the 53, you just put it in a museum, and even if you did take it out, it's a 2-speed automatic and less than 200 horsepower, it wouldn't be fun to drive. But then the Kindig car, man, how do you drive that? Because the paint job itself is a 6-figure thing. So you ding that, oh my God.
You got to put a clear bra around the whole thing.
Right.
How much would that cost?
Oh, it could be $10,000 on a car like that.
$10,000. That's wild.
Well, we're talking mostly about heavy hitters, but there's plenty of oddball, one-off stuff. And if you go and look through the docket, like on Tuesday and Wednesday, they're the affordable cars, but things you'll never, ever see ever again. So there's plenty of that kind of stuff that just makes me really excited. But one thing that's a trend that's just getting started, and we'll see where it goes, is EV conversions.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting to the point where we're seeing maybe a handful of these a year, and it's definitely a growing trend. Kind of love it or hate it, but one car that's been really well done is this 66 Coupe de Ville custom convertible.
I love Cadillacs in this generation. They're so fun because they're like 18, 19 feet long. The land yacht here. Imagine like telling your great-grandpa or like your grandpa, like, this is going to be an electric car one day. He would probably just die on the spot right there. No one would believe it.
So it has a 55 kilowatt lithium battery, tri-motor. pretty fast. I mean, it's 394 horsepower is what they're estimating. So 1,000 foot-pounds of torque in a 66 Cadillac. That just looks beautiful.
So I miss the fins. I think they went away in like 64, so it doesn't have the classic caddy fins on the
right.
back. But
So this typically wouldn't be the most desirable body of Cadillac. You know, you want the 50 ones, like the 59 or the 60. Or in the 60s, you'd see a lot more Lincoln Continentals really rocking the block, getting a lot more interest than this body style of Cadillac. But somebody doing this EV conversion to it and doing such a clean, amazing job with the build just in general, it's going to be really interesting to see what this one brings.
Like a halogen headlights, the stack there, the massive grille all the way across. This is so cool.
Right. So
I love this.
I also can predict the future. I don't need to be a psychic because April hasn't mentioned it yet, but I know it's there. So your last car that you're going to be watching or drooling over or sleeping in or with or whatever, you know. Yeah.
If I could, I wouldn't. That's so creepy.
Yep.
Oh,
it's April's
baby.
holy grail.
Here
so mine
we go.
is the 300 SL going.
Right.
April's is...
Drumroll. We got a GNX, baby. Grand National Experimental. What is it, number 332 out of 547 made. She is gorgeous.
And this one's even more special because it was sold originally May 2nd, 1988. So the Grand National went out of production in 1987. That was the last year. But the GNXs, they got sent over for additional tuning at an independent company. Was it
called McLaren, but it's not
ASC?
the McLaren that you're thinking.
Right. So extra power differences. But this
bigger
one...
intercooler, bigger turbo, maybe. We got power. It's gorgeous.
They didn't drive it. So it is new in the wrapper, parked since 1988. It's your chance to buy a brand new Buick Grand National. So
she's so gorgeous.
Easily the nicest one on the planet.
I love her. I love those 16-inch mesh wheels. Oh, it's God. Okay.
If only April looked at me like she looked at a Buick GNX.
I love you. I love you. Oh
you know,
gosh.
you think I don't get jealous over Adam Driver and Pierce Brosnan and Mr. Morris, or what's his name from the Gilded Age? Mr. Russell from the Gilded Age. But the way she looks at a GNX makes me realize,
great.
I am not seeing like full, deeply, madly in love April Rose yet because,
Or you're gonna put me in a mental hospital.
So, a lot of cool things at Barrett-Jackson
So great.
to watch, and actually you can see us doing the live TV coverage on History and FYI. 38 hours of live television. By the time this video posts, you've missed a few days, but you're still going to be able to see, I think, all the cars we listed on here Thursday, Friday, and Super Saturday on History Channel and FYI.
How mad would you be if I took your bidder's pass while this was going across?
I could not write that check, so don't do it. I'm a little poor right now from the house and the barn additions and other hoopty purchases, so yeah. You want to see us thrown out of the auction, that's how you do it.
It'd be a great way to get fired. I would totally go out this way.
Thank you so much for watching.
I love this car.